Good evening, Holliston, and welcome to the January 8th edition of the Holliston School Committee. We do have a remote participant right now, so I'm going to start with the remote meeting statement. Pursuant to the Governor's March 31st, 2025 Act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, paragraph 20. The Holliston School Committee will be using remote participation for this meeting. The audio of this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the town's webpage as soon as possible in accordance with keeping the public informed of actions during this meeting. At this time, a roll call attendance vote will be taken. Dawn?
Present.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe?
Present.
Frank?
Present.
Tracy?
Present.
Dan?
Here.
And I'm here, Sarah. Okay, so at this point, we will get started. We do have the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote for that. Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, at this point, we will move on to our report from student representatives.
Hello. So the winter chorus and band concerts took place on December 16th and 17th, and they featured both the middle school and high school groups, and they were great performances all around. More from the performing arts, the student-directed one-act performances are coming up in early February, so we expect tickets will be available soon. And finally, auditions for the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild, or METG Festival show are next week, and Theater 370 will go on to compete against other schools at the end of February. One of our track athletes, Lucy Downen, received Metro West Daily News recognition and was nominated for the Girls Athlete of the Week. Girls basketball is having their annual Pink Out game tomorrow, benefiting breast cancer research. And the boys varsity basketball has been having a very strong season. Track has winning records for both the boys and girls team. This Saturday, the robotics team is traveling to a regional high school for kickoff. This year's competition will be introduced, and the team will collect their parts required to implement in the robot that they will begin building over the next few months, and then they will then compete in March. DECA today and tomorrow is attending the district's career development conference. Their task is to find solutions to a realistic case study and present to a judge. Tomorrow, over 100 members will be traveling to the conference center in hopes of qualifying for states. Inspiring them will be the 4 members who received first place honors today, as well as a 5th member who is also qualifying for the states convention. Before school break, the school store reopened with the help of NHS students, and it is run by student volunteers for 30 minutes after school every day. Also before break, there was a biotechnology-focused field trip to the Tufts Medical Center, and discussed were animal testing facilities, and doctors, including a neurosurgeon, spoke about their focuses like the brain and skin stem cells. And to close out, just talking with our Student Advisory Council, students are hoping for more knowledge on how the course selection/recommendation process will work for next year, but we recognize the timeline requirements of the process. They are, however, asking questions about the new schedule, especially with the 2026-2027 course recommendations coming up soon, and simply want to make the transition as smooth as possible and have everyone feel prepared. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to school committee individual comments. Hillary?
None for me.
Joe?
Done.
Frank?
None for me.
Tracy?
Yes, I would actually like to start with a thank you. I want to acknowledge and say that I appreciate all the hard work being put forth by members of the Holliston community and the people here at this table to make sure that our students' well-being and the needs of our students come first. As we learn more about the next chapter in our leadership here in Holliston, I appreciate that all interests are being considered as we search for the next superintendent as well as other leadership roles in this district. I promise our students, teachers, families that we are doing our best. My job, our job, is to look at the problems and challenges facing all of our students, and that is a task that I know none of us take lightly. The foundation of the work we do is balancing the multifaceted and nuanced needs of our community. We continue to have hard conversations and make tough decisions, but at the end of the day, I know that we're doing the best we can with what is before us. As with any growth mindset, as we know better, we do better. And I know that we will continue to do that work as a community for this search and others with the end goal of serving all of our students. I hope we move forward with the knowledge that we're doing our best to do our best for the students of Holliston. And so heartfelt thank you to everyone working together toward that goal.
Well said. As far as the schedule and everything goes, I think we have some people here that will be talking about it later. So hopefully your classmates will watch, and I'm sure that there will be much more communication about that coming. So.
And yeah, I don't have anything at the moment, but Adele, I know you have some exciting college news, so congratulations to you, and thank you for coming. Oh, and Dawn, did you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. Thank you. At this point, let's see. Do we have people signed up for public comment?
Is there a sheet? And I guess if anyone on Zoom wants to raise their hand, so
Did anyone on Zoom want to make a public comment?
You could use the raise your hand feature if you do.
Okay.
Yep. It's sort of difficult to hear you all, but I think you asked if anyone online had public comment.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, hi. I do.
Yep, go ahead, Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela Page. I think I had to say my address. Is that right?
Yes, please.
Do I,
Yep.
yeah?
Yes.
617 Washington Street in Holliston. And I'm here representing Diverse Holliston, and I wanted to share a letter that 100, or close to 100 of our community members signed over the last week or so. So I'm going to read the letter, and then I'll put the signatures in the letter into the chat, if that's okay. I hope that it's fine that it's not a physical document being delivered to you. Dear members of the Holliston School Committee, we are writing as signatories of the Diverse Holliston petition calling on the school committee to strengthen the superintendent's search and long-term district leadership by adding a member to the selection team for superintendent whose sole focus is reviewing candidates through a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. While we appreciate the district's efforts to recruit from a diverse candidate pool, diversity in applicants alone is not sufficient to address the complex challenges facing our schools. It's imperative that we hire a superintendent who can understand and navigate issues affecting people from diverse backgrounds and who can lead the district in implementing practices that foster inclusion, safety, and a sense of belonging for all students and staff. To do this effectively, the selection team must include at least one member whose sole responsibility is to assess candidates' strengths and gaps in this area, someone with the appropriate training, experience, or lived expertise to evaluate, to evaluate leadership through a DEI lens. Members of Diverse Holliston have been told by members of the school committee that the screening team is not set in stone, and so given this, that's in quotes, given this, we respectfully urge the school committee to add at least one DEI-focused member to the selection team while there's still time to do so. Thank you for consideration and for your service to Holliston Public Schools. Sincerely, the undersigned signatories of the petition. And I just want to note that we are aware that Jerry L. was added to the selection committee. And while we're, very, very supportive of him and his work and his contributions, so that happened, I think, like the night before we released our petition, and it was never sort of formally communicated to us. I think we found out in like a Facebook comment. And so it kind of shifted the way that we were thinking about this petition, and we've communicated that with our members and sort of have gotten more signatures since then, which is sort of, it's this idea to have a single individual whose sole focus, not just representing the school system, but actually whose primary reason for being there is to represent DEI considerations, is that, but it's also about transparency and communication and, you know, setting up a system and a dialogue that we can continue throughout, you know, throughout the course of time, not just in this moment in time. So we're using this sort of petition as a signal to that wider focus. So I put the thing in the chat, and you can hopefully see it there. Thank you.
Would you mind emailing that to me as well? At my
Sure.
school, my email address is where you guys have it. So.
Yeah, no problem.
That'd be great. Thank you. And I neglected to mention, we do generally a 2-minute time frame here, so we will time the rest of the public comments. Chinmaya, would you like to speak?
Sure, I can go next. Just Chinmaya Gogineni, 425 Underwood Street, representing both myself as a community member, but also as a diverse Holliston representative. I just wanted to follow up with what Angela started off with. I think we need to really look back and figure out if we're really doing a good job of focusing on the inclusion and belonging aspect of the work itself, or are we just happy and patting ourselves on the back with what we've done so far? Like, yes, we did a bunch of things in the last couple of years servicing that area, which was drastically underserviced for many, many years. So this is not saying we have done nothing and the school committee hasn't done anything. So this shouldn't be taken as a personal challenge to the school committee about having done nothing. We've done some, but there is still, given how little has been done over the past many years and how underserviced this aspect of inclusion and belonging for both visible and invisible diverse communities, it's a challenge that I think the school committee and the community needs to accept as an active challenge. And the reason, I'll give you one example, prime example of a recent discussion, debate, conversation that has happened in the community where the issue was about public holidays, or like holidays that are given to the school system. Why is it that like two underrepresented communities, neurodivergent and kids that need additional attention, why are they having to go up against people who are celebrating those holidays? There are many more different creative ways that this has been solved all over the country in various other school systems. Why are we not looking at those creative solutions? Why does it always come down to one underserviced community being pitted against another underserviced community? I think that's where we need to take up the challenge. There needs to be creativity. There needs to be a commitment to inclusion and belonging for everybody. It shouldn't be one against the other. It should be all the community members. I think that's what I would like to say. Just adding my support to what Angela said, as well as what Diverse Holliston in general is putting forward. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's see. Jess, would you like?
Hi, Jess Oman, 116 Locust Street. I want to begin by thanking the school committee for adding Jerry L. to the superintendent search screening team. As a parent of neurodivergent children, one of my greatest concerns with our district has been its approach to social emotional learning, particularly how it supports the diverse needs of our student population. One of the strategic objectives in the Building Bridges Together strategic plan is to, quote, provide a safe and supportive learning and social environment where each member of the educational community can flourish in a respectful, inclusive, and productive environment, end quote. I do not feel this objective has been fully realized or consistently upheld based on my personal experience and conversations I have had with community members, which is why I want to reiterate the importance of identifying a superintendent who can lead the district toward meeting this goal. My concerns with this district do not lie in the curriculum. They are about the district's ability to meet my children's needs and to keep them safe. Safety, acceptance, equity, and inclusion are especially critical in today's political climate. That is why it is essential that DEI be intentionally embedded in district decisions, especially one as consequential as the superintendent search. While I am deeply grateful for Jerry L's commitment to this work and appreciate the school committee's decision to include him on the screening team, I believe there is still more work that can be done. As my peers at Diverse Holliston have shared, I would like to see a clear and public commitment to embedding equity and inclusion into all district activities. When it is unclear how equity is being applied in a process like this, it can unintentionally suggest that equity is secondary rather than foundational. More importantly, I would like to see ongoing two-way engagement with the community, not only from an equity standpoint, but as a broader communications practice. Effective communication demonstrates that community feedback is being intentionally considered rather than addressed informally or after the fact. I hope the school committee will take this opportunity to strengthen communication, trust, and alignment around district goals so that all students and families feel seen, supported, and represented in future district decisions. Thank you.
And then we've got Barb.
Thanks, Tracy, at the beginning for offering that comment. That was nice to hear, helpful. Okay, there's a lot of things I could say tonight. It's kind of taken me all day to figure out what I was going to say, and I was still writing it over there. So I'll just say I believe the majority of you, members of the school committee, value diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I want to acknowledge that in today's political landscape, where DEI efforts have been dismantled and attacked at the federal level by executive order, legislation, just flat out eliminating things from websites, and by corporations, that you caring about it is not nothing. It's not nothing. It is foundational, I think, to be able to do a good job as a community leader. And I used to think that that was enough. For a long time, I thought that was enough. And so, past district leadership has also valued DEI. So I've been engaging with the school district for a long time, and I first started with former Superintendent Brad Jackson, and he said that he cared about DEI. Superintendent Dr. Kuska, she cares about DEI. Assistant Superintendent David Jordan cares about DEI. And I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, 30 seconds.
Oh, really? Okay. So I'll just wrap it up. So you all care. David Jordan, you asked me to help you with your graduate research on this topic. I know you care. Joan Menard, I know you care. I thought that getting people who cared about this and had good intentions would be enough. And one of the most concrete actions that our district has ever taken towards advancing these efforts was the equity audit in 2022, I think. So thank you, Dr. Kuska, for that. And although current leadership at the time valued DEI, all of whomever was in charge at that time, many of you are still here, the data revealed we have major gaps in the ways our students perform. I'm sorry, what?
It is 2 minutes, just.
Okay, so I just want to say this is really frustrating. I've the rest of my paragraph to add. So can I finish? Yes. Thank you. So that gap between stating it as a value and making concrete steps toward addressing those gaps is the chasm that Diverse Holliston had hoped to help you with at the beginning of this process. That is the partnership we had hoped to have and what I hope we can have going forward. But to be really clear, what I feel needs to be different is that when we offer concrete steps, that there is dialogue, there's actual conversation. So, conversation, questions answered, more than we'll take that into consideration. Thank you, because one thing I have heard is that DEI is important, but it's not the only thing. And I know that, and as Jess was saying, diversity, equity, inclusion is foundational. It does need to be baked into every conversation. And I think most people, well-intended or not, don't understand what that really means. But the equity audit yielded some very specific suggestions. So you have this document. We all paid for it. and we've asked you to use it. So when we've asked you to use it and you haven't answered our questions about how you're going to use it, but more things like, we're going to rely on HYA, it's really frustrating. So how you will use it needs to be incorporated at the heart of this. And I hope that we can do that going forward. We have an opportunity now, whomever is on the screening committee, like to come up with a rubric with questions and answers that we all know how we're using this going forward. So thank you. I won't take any more time. I've off script now.
Thank you, Barbara. Is there anyone else on Zoom that wanted to make a public comment? No. Okay.
May I ask? Okay, just
Of course,
let's
yeah.
I was just going to ask if we could move the high school above Part 3, but I
Yes.
see you have
yes.
something else.
I do. I do want to make one comment, and just to be clear, as soon as I finish my comment, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. I just want to thank Diverse Holliston for your continued support and advocacy of all of this. It is work that will never be done. We keep working on it, and we keep pushing and trying to do better. We share, I think pretty much all of the members of the school committee share your concerns and your support to ensure that equity is supported in our schools and the broader community. I admit I was a little confused by the petition and your position on the search. From the beginning, we have made it clear that equity would play a part in this search. We chose a firm that had a stated history of putting an emphasis on equity in their search processes. We ensured that the job posting was placed on many job boards, including 2 with diversity focus. We included our director of DEI and equity on the search team once he was able to make the schedule work. Yet, even after learning all of this, you simply stated you kind of altered the position from asking to have someone with the DEI focus on the board to having someone with their sole focus. It's hard to kind of keep meeting the changing goalpost here, I suppose.
I have to respond, Sarah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to finish my...
Of course, but can I respond to what you're saying?
We're going to move on to the next agenda item at this point. We're not going to have a back and forth at this point. The superintendent screening team currently includes 2 school committee members, the town select board chair, 2 school principals, a teacher, HFT representative, the retired assistant superintendent of finance and operations, and importantly for this discussion, the district's director of social and emotional learning and equity and inclusion. I'm completely unclear how this very, very qualified team of people, talented, highly educated, and trained professionals, educators, and administrators do not meet your definition of how to support equity in this process. Your stance to me is not respectful of or appreciative of their backgrounds. They bring many, many lived experiences of working with all of this. We have people who have led the METCO program for a large neighboring high school. We have people who've completed training on how to evaluate data from the lens of equity or students from disadvantaged backgrounds. People with deep experience in special ed programs, people who are looking at opportunities and options for students to gain college credit or participate in career pathway programs, challenging classes in financially feasible ways for students of all means. Not to mention the obvious, our director of social and emotional learning and DEI is on this team. He will bring a vast array of skills, experience, and expertise. To say that we haven't worked with the community on this is disingenuous. First of all, at least 5 members of this committee have had multiple long conversations with you, with Jess, with others from Diverse Holliston. In fact, we've probably had more interaction with Diverse Holliston than any other group, whether it's the teachers, students, it's a lot. As we've worked with HYA through the superintendent search, we have received input through over 40 hours of interviews with many people from our community, teachers, administrators, students, paraprofessionals, town employees. We've held in-person community sessions. We had Zoom community sessions. Additionally, we received community survey input from over 600 community members. All of this input is going into creating the search profile for the superintendent and is informing the decisions that will be made. I guess for me personally, it makes it very difficult to work with you in a partnership. I'll just close with this. We're a volunteer board. We care deeply and spend many hours each week working to support all of our students, staff, and schools. We also value and support all of the efforts of our incredibly dedicated, well-qualified, and caring staff who come day in and day out to make a safe and supportive school for all of our students. I will reiterate my appreciation for the work that Diverse Holliston does in the community. Your voices have been and continue to be heard, but now it's time to move forward, and as previously stated, we will be talking about more opportunities for how the community input and feedback will be involved in the following weeks of this process. So that's all I have to say at this point. I think we would like to move the high school up on the agenda so that you guys can talk, and then we can move on. So thank you.
I just thought Mr. List likes to have a whole meeting.
So we actually have our entire high school leadership team here today. And I know they'll introduce themselves as well. So the community can see them.
Yeah, thank you.
Look, it's been a while, but all right. So, Happy New Year. I wanted a chance to bring my whole team here because although you've seen a lot of me at these meetings, this process of working through the changes with the schedule and the program of studies and what's offered to students has really been a complete team effort. And I wanted to make sure that the folks sitting here could share their expertise with the areas that they've been working on. And, just to hear other voices in this, because this is who the students are dealing with, not just myself, but working with every day with Mr. Lavasser, Dr. Koloff, and Ms. Condon, and wanted to be able to sit here and answer any questions you had and lend their expertise to it. What you're going to see in the slideshow is really the overview of where we are moving forward with the schedule in regarding the academics. Usually these presentations for program of studies are about all the new classes we're offering and all the, but so we sort of pared that back because obviously with the schedule change, to add a bunch of new classes is not really what we're going to be focused on. So I'll start us off with just sort of what we're going to be going through, and then I'll hand over to Dr. K. But we really just want to go over make sure everybody's understanding of the new structure of the schedule, what the scheduling, like Adele, who talked about at the beginning, what the scheduling process will look like, how it shifted the graduation requirements, meaning the actual number of credits, and then the course progression of electives, and then the specialized programs. So on the second slide there, you see the structure. It's 64-minute periods, a 41-minute DSB every day, a 7-day rotation where 2 periods drop each day, and classes are simply either 1 semester or a year. So just keeping it simple, that is the basic premise of the schedule. It's offered in lots of different districts throughout the state and the country, and keeping it simple there with classes are either a semester or a year. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. K, who has been working on the back end with Ms. Taylor and Jody Renee to make sure that this process is ready to go when we start picking classes and make recommendations. I'm going to hand it off.
Hi, everyone. So I have been working on the scheduling process. I know the students have questions about this, so this is kind of the timeline we're looking at. I think the important thing for students to know and for families to know is that the process is really exactly the same. It's not significantly different. The timeline is relatively the same as last year. What students will see on the screens when they select things will be almost exactly the same. Really, the number of credits they're selecting is the major difference. The process starts with course recommendations. That starts the end of this semester through March 6th. That's when we'll have teachers finish up their recommendations. We'll have more information available to families and students about our different endorsements and programs that we have later in January. And then the part that students are most concerned about is the course selection timeframe, and that is between March 9th and that's between March 17th and the 31st. Prior to that, there'll be multiple meetings with counselors and the full class, each of their classes, but also individual courses. They'll go into classrooms, meet with small groups, individual students. And then there'll also be a program of studies night for families as well. And that will be available for 8th grade, the rising 9th graders, and the current students as well. After the course selection process is closed, we do have the ability for families to override the recommendations based on family decisions and things like that. So that will be, the deadline for that will be April 6th. So the next thing is the numbers of credits and how the graduation requirements changed. You'll see that there's really, the major change is that we're going from 26 to 25. Is there any additional ones you wanted to highlight, David?
No, so these are changes. This is the graduation requirements that were voted on by the committee previously, but there's just the adjustment made. It has more to do with electives than anything else in terms of what the requirements are for graduation. So right now it's a 26, and then it'll go to 25 out of the 28 credits that students will have access to take.
Mm-hmm. The next slide shows the progression of classes for the English program. There's no significant changes to the English program moving forward. Students will be required to take English all 4 years. There's a variety of different offerings, levels, and AP classes, as well as all freshmen will be required to take Foundations of Writing. The next is the social studies. Again, no significant changes to the courses offered, just the progression is slightly different, where the modern world history is moving to the older grades. Because of that, next year we won't be offering modern world history. It'll be because there'll be no students who will need it based on how they're moving through. And so we'll offer a lot of U.S. history too next year. And then we'll also be adding in the civic action course, which is a state requirement for students to complete by the end of graduation. And there will be multiple ways for students to gain that credit, not just through the civic action course, but in other courses that we offer as well, including through the GCP program, like the service learning class and some other courses that we have it embedded in as well. The next one is the world language progression. The main changes here are really just the naming of the courses and kind of making it a little bit more clear so that the communication of what is being taught in each of the levels is clear to families. So you'll see a variety of different options for students and where they can enter based on their level of Spanish or French. The last progression is the French immersion. Previously, those classes were not named French immersion, but they will be now, so they'll be clear to select which French class to take if your student is in French immersion. And then just to note at the bottom that we do have French 1, but typically our students are beyond that, and we don't have enough students to run it, but we do offer it in case there are students who need it.
Do you have to be previously in French immersion to move into that?
Yes. And
all right, so now
moving on to math.
Yep.
Next, math progression. These are all the options for next year and moving forward. You can see there's a lot of different options. We're trying to make it so we can get as many kids into calculus as possible. That's why you see so many different pathways here. The first pathway there is a CP2 student enters for concepts of algebra, then goes to concepts of geometry, and then concepts of algebra 2, and then can take an elective. The next two pathways are It's very similar. Students start with Algebra 1 CP1, move on to Geometry CP1, and then can take Algebra 2 Trig and CP1 and then an elective, or they can take Algebra 2 Financials, CP1 and an elective. And the elective could be AP Stats, it could be AP Calc. There's a lot of options for what the electives could be, and you'll see those on an upcoming slide. And then the next slide shows the science progression.
Sorry. Sorry, I just want to make sure that people, so just because it looks a little bit different, the next line there, the accelerated algebra, is really the only thing that looks a little bit different, but that's going to be the, if a student is not quite ready to go from 8th grade to geometry honors, they have already done some of that algebra in 8th grade. This is that sort of middle ground there. That would be comparable to what we offer now when students come in and take Algebra 1 Part 2 and then go to Geometry Part 1. So that it's not quite new because it's kind of just taking what we already do and putting it together. And so that's for the 8th grade. So this is for this current 8th grade right now incoming. So our math teachers will be working with the middle school math teachers to make sure parents and students understand the difference between all of the classes going in, so they can make an informed choice about where they want to start their progressions and work with the teachers with the recommendations.
Are you working with the middle school math teachers too to help them understand how to help guide kids the right way?
So they've already had one meeting. So prior to this being created, they already have one meeting where this was talked about and understood about where students are coming in. And then now that we're going to start moving through that process of making recommendations, there'll be more meetings with teachers, between the teachers, to make sure that folks are aware of where students are coming in.
Yeah, and we have a meeting coming up with administration and counseling staff just to go over the recommendation process, because all of the numbers and names have changed. And so that meeting is taking place in a couple weeks before the recommendation process really starts.
And the next slide is the science progression. All 9th graders will take biology. They can take CP1, CP2, or honors. In 10th grade, most will take chemistry, followed by physics in 11th grade, but there's the option to either double up or to take AP Bio as a sophomore. We're really trying to give as many options for those AP Bio, Chem, and Physics to as many students as possible. And then followed by 12th grade, they have the option to take, if they've taken Bio, Chem, and Physics, they have the option to take AP Bio, AP Chem, AP Physics too.
And one of the things there, just to recognize, because most of our students, almost all of our students, go through high school taking biochem and physics. That's the majority. But we recognize that there are students who that's just not didn't work for them, didn't work in their schedule. So there are other lab sciences that exist through there. And then grade 12, they're not just AP options. There are other elective options. But the reason for this visual here is to understand that you're not going to have a student who has to take all 3 science APs their senior year. There are ways to spread this out throughout their time in high school, so it's not all stacked at the end. And for health and PE, nothing from the current progression changes for what's offered to students. So the 9th grade health and wellness, 10th grade, and then 11th and 12th grade, they choose from different electives, but it's a Mass State requirement that students take a wellness class every year. Ms. Condon, talk about the bridge courses. She gives some background on bridge before.
Well, so first, I'm Kim Condon, and I'm the Student Service Administrator here at the high school. I don't think I've met all of you. So our bridge classes were started 3 years ago, and I will give full credit to one of our teachers who saw a need a few years ago for students who had historically been mostly in our sub-separate classes, but they really started to have a goal towards earning a diploma. And so she was really instrumental in helping us build this new pathway for some of our students that continue to have a goal of earning a diploma, but might need some extra support. So, and their timeline might be a little bit different than some of their other students, or it might not be, depending upon, their individual needs. And so we started these bridge classes here at the high school and now the other schools have adopted a very similar model here in the district, so that's super exciting. And because of that, because now the other schools, specifically in our case, the middle school was able to start some of these bridge classes, we now have more students. And so we are excited to be able to really expand the offerings that we have here at the high school. We've always had an English class that's really language-based and been able to support students. It's always been a co-taught model, so that means taught by one of our English teachers and a special educator. And at times we have a paraprofessional in there as well, depending upon the number of students. So that's been a class that's been offered here for longer than I've been here, so at least 7 or 8 years, probably much longer than that as well. This year, we introduced a new math class as well for our bridge students, and it's still considered a CP2 class. It's towards graduation requirements, but it's also a co-taught math class that really focuses on an integrated math with both algebra and geometry, and then moving along in the progression if needed. And sometimes students may be able to graduate out of those classes and enter some of our other CP2, or in some cases we've had students who have been to some of our CP1 classes as well. And so we've also had students in our bridge continuum who have been in our our science and social studies classes, but with the increase in the number of students that will be offered these classes next year, we decided to do it on more of a 3-year rotation for students in history and science. So for all of our students in our bridge classes, they will have the same opportunities as all of their peers to be able to take biology, chemistry, and physics, and then by their senior year, if an elective or some other class that they might want to in science. And for history, they'll take Modern World, U.S. History 1, and U.S. History 2. One of each of those classes will be offered each year, so all of the bridge students will be in one class. So for example, for next year for science, it will be chemistry. So all of our bridge students will be in chemistry. We are committed to having that be co-taught with one of our current chemistry teachers along with a special educator. And then additionally, for the students who also need some more support for the content and the curriculum, they will work on that during an academic support block as well with the same special educator that is co-teaching that class with them. So I could go on and on because I'm super excited about it, but you probably don't have all the time. But if there's any questions, I just think it's so exciting that we're able to offer this for our students, and that they, many of them will be able to reach their goal of obtaining a diploma and meeting all of the same standards as their peers.
All right. And then one of the big questions that has been asked throughout the scheduling process is about our elective classes and what's able to be offered. So you can see here we will have a wide breadth of elective classes for students to choose from. What is known about the schedule, obviously right now we have 8 periods and they'll be going to 7, so it's one less. So they still have the elective options. It's just their students are taking one less class. So we're really excited that we are able to offer the wide range of electives and to continue those electives for next year and beyond. So we just wanted to make that, as making this presentation, to make it clear that students will have the opportunity to choose from all these electives that you see here. And then the final slide, giving a shout out to the last one there, the Global Citizenship Program endorsement. That's been around for a long time here and has really created a lot of the structures for moving forward with other endorsements and innovation pathways. And it's something that's been done at the high school. So we're excited to be able to continue the Global Citizenship Program endorsement and an engineering endorsement. Computer science, we are applying for an Innovation Pathways grant this year. We were accepted into Part B, which was great. So we'll be sending that in February. We have students in our first year of our business innovation pathways, and then we'll also, and we, for engineering and biomedical, we were supported by grants from the 1-8 Foundation to be able to work with those endorsements. So we're excited to be able to have those programs for students to give them real hands-on experiences. If you've been, it's just, and it's also really good timing for what's probably coming in June, which is new graduation requirements. And if you read about what the state's bringing forward in terms of what's expected of students, is really these focus on these the internship capstone project type things, and all of these endorsements have that as a component of what they're doing. So hopefully we'll be a little bit ahead of the curve when that gets announced in June. And just to throw in a plug that on the 27th at 6 p.m. at the high school, and anybody is welcome to come, students, parents, not just high school, middle school, elementary school, community members, to learn about not just those endorsements, but all of the great opportunities that we have at the high school. So we'll have, we have students, we have teachers coming just to share about their experiences at the high school, what they're involved in, to go a little bit beyond just everybody knows you come in, you're going to take English and math and science and social studies, but there's also a lot of really cool stuff that's going on at the high school. We want to make people aware of that. So on the 27th in the evening, I hope people will join us. We'll have it in person, but we'll also have it on Zoom, and we'll have it recorded. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
How many students do you anticipate being enrolled in the bridge courses?
That's a really good question. So I don't have the exact numbers from the middle school at this time, but I would say anywhere between 10 and 15.
And they receive the same amount of credits that were listed in previous slides, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And some students may need the bridge classes for all 4 of the content classes, and some students may not. So they'll have the opportunity to, be in those classes if they need it, but also if they don't need it in one subject area, let's say that they don't need that level of support in math, they could be in a different math class, but still in a bridge English class.
And this new schedule allows for that to happen, and then also allows for those students to experience electives as well. So they have therefore, just like a neurotypical peer, they have the core classes and then elective courses that go along with it.
How are students selected for the bridge courses? Or are students selected for the bridge courses? Like how does a student enroll
So
in the bridge?
it's a recommendation from their teacher, and it is for students who receive special education services.
Okay.
So it would be recommended by their special education liaison.
Okay. Sorry, I had one more not tied to bridge, but the electives, we noted 3 that were added. Were any removed?
There are some that, so departments were asked to look through their electives and to think about what they wanted their progressions to look like or what they wanted to offer. One of the aspects of the new schedule, obviously a teacher is teaching 5 courses, and based on the agreement, the ideal is to keep teachers with 3 preps. So if you have too many electives, then you are going to end up with teachers needing like 5 different preps if you're running those classes. So some departments chose to offer electives every other year. I don't have the list in front of me, but like they're...
Yeah, so this list does have a few less than what you might see in the general program of studies, which will be available shortly. But these are the ones that will be offered next year. The year after that will be like the B year, and the other ones that are not offered. So, for example, English has, I think, 10 total electives. They always offer 6. And then there's 2 that are offered on a like the other 4 are offered on a rotating basis.
No, that makes sense.
So within 4 years, kids have access to all of them.
And then we also look at enrollment, how many kids
Correct.
keep those, and then if they're under-enrolled, we can't offer them all.
Do you use the co-top model outside of Bridge at all? Any of the building you already use?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And also, I'm on the thank you train right now, but thank you for all the hard work you guys are putting into this. I know the teachers are working hard. It's a big change for everybody, but it's such an important step for the district, and I'm glad to see that it's coming soon.
On the thank you train as well, but how is the morale of like teachers on the new schedule? Is it? I know it was pretty positive, but as it continuing as the work really begins, and obviously, rubber hits the road.
I think change is hard. I really do. I'm not saying it's bad, but change is hard. I think it's hard for everyone. But I think they're progressing through, and I think that some teachers are, I think, looking forward to it, the change, and some are struggling, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the natural human response to change, right? There's some people who are like excited about it and are in for this change, other people who they've only ever taught in this model that we currently have, and that, I mean, if you've been here for 20 years,
that's all
30, you know what I mean? That's all you've ever taught in, so that is like, that's scary. I think what I really appreciate from our staff has been the creative way that they're thinking about how to provide students with all the opportunities moving forward. So I want to speak to that the conversations that we have, like I've had great conversations with teachers when we're coming up with, okay, what are we doing for this student, or what are we doing for these students, this group of students, and how do we make sure kids have access, thinking about the science department, and they're wanting to make sure that kids had access to all of the not just the AP classes, but all of the electives that the kids are so excited to take. So I think, the feelings are obviously very human, but the work has been awesome from our staff across the board.
How have you been communicating with 8th grade students and families about the program of studies?
So this is the first go around right now. The next step is going to be our communication with 8th grade staff so that they have language around what's happening, and Dr. K has been talking with them about making sure that our timelines are all set up so that we can get out that information and all be on the same page with the 8th grade. And so once that is complete, we'll start our communication. So it'll start in the next 10 days, really, 14 days, about getting that information out, because once January 27th hits, we have obviously the evening event, but that's also when our students are getting their first recommendations from teachers. So really, you're going to see a rollout in the next 2 weeks of sort of all of this information across the board.
We're meeting with the 8th grade team on the 20th, and hoping to give the teachers sort of like a cheat sheet of how to translate from the previous course numbers and course names, and we're hoping to also be able to give something like that to the families as well. And then we have the 8th grade move up day that is in February, and we're hoping, although they won't have as much information about, they will be selecting courses or have their recommendations by that point, they'll be able to get like a broader view of what's offered here without maybe being as narrowly focused on what they're going to be doing. They can kind of see everything, which is the hope for that day.
And is there anything different about the January and March program of studies nights for families?
So the January night is really focused on move beyond the academic side, see what exists at the high school. It's like one of those things that's missed, right? Like we talk about AP class, we talk about the academics, we talk about all of that, but what kids do here beyond that is pretty amazing. And so wanting to take the opportunity for people to see that and to celebrate that and to get excited about just the process, because I think walking in directly into an academic conversation is really scary, and not understanding where your kid can kind of explore themselves in high school here is also very scary. So this gives parents a lens that's maybe hopefully a little bit feels a little bit better than just walking in and worrying about what academic classes my kid going to take right away. The actual program of studies night is a very academic conversation about your progression through what classes are offered, what you might want to think about as you go through the process, and just having that time for both separate for incoming 9th grade families and then for the current 9th through 11th. So.
Thank you.
I'll just thank you as well. I think that all of the endorsement options are really kind of exciting and appealing, and just a great offering. So thank you for looking into making all of those happen. I think that's a great option for kids.
And if it's okay with you, I'd like to see if Mr. List could come back later in the year, and now when you have more updates. In the past, we have presented the global citizen and the computer science, so once you have things moving a little further, it'd be great to present some of that.
Absolutely. And I do want to say before I do know that, I know that there are lots of questions from families out there about their specific individual student and their progression. We are working with our teachers, with the staff, to make sure that, when you change a schedule, it's messy. And so it can be confusing going from the block to the 7-drop-2, and then how does my kid get to this class, or how does my kid get to this class? We're working through all of those, and so parents should know that we are in the midst of working through how to make sure that kids who want to take an AP Bio can take an AP Bio or Chem, or kids who want to take Calculus can take Calculus. We're working through each of those, and so we've had parents reach out to us. They're more than welcome to, but we are aware of those situations, and we are working to make sure the students get the classes that they wanted to get through. Because they didn't choose to be in high school at this time. That just happened to be when they're coming through and the change. So we're working at that, and we'll start communicating about those shifts and what will be available for those students as part of the scheduling process.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing your team.
Yes, yeah, it's great to see you all.
They can just send them more often.
Right.
They got to come.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Ever.
Okay, so we're on to budget part 3.
Can you just, Dan, can you enable sharing for me? It won't let me.
Community setup in your folder is also a PDF of part 3. Also, kind of the second document I'm going to be pulling up is pulling together part 1, part 2, and part 3 together, and that is our level service budget. But I'll speak to both.
I have the right one. What do I have the right one? That's the right one, yep.
Yeah.
I'll make it a little bigger.
Blow that up somehow. Thanks. There we go.
It's all right. It's a little small.
Okay, so this is our FY27 Part 3. Part 3 is student services. I've sometimes used the term special education budget. I was talking to, Barbara, Michelle, and I have talked about this as well. There's more than just special education in here. Yes, 95% of it is special education, but it is all of our student services. Budget is kind of this, is what is within here. Just to kind of describe what you're looking at, over on your far left, those are, even your first two keys, those are the Department of Education function codes and descriptors, so it's just specifically budgeted like how that is described there. As you kind of look as far as our change, we are looking at a $116,902 reduction in our appropriations budget, and that amounts to a reduction of 3.33% in the special education budget. That isn't because we are reducing our resources or less to students. We do have some move-outs that we have. We have a lower number of out-of-district students than we've had. This is part of a model that was built back in FY24 with the anticipation that we would have move-outs slowly happening. That being said, the projection based off of the move-outs that we'd have and the reductions we'd have in special education was, the intention around that was right around $393,000 was that. So while, a reduction in overarching budget is good, we've had, as we've had students move out, we've had students that have moved in. We've also, I think the major drivers that are in our special education budget that are unprecedented are some of, while we've had a reduction of our out-of-district placements, a reduction in our services, we've seen astronomical increases in tuition prices. Some of the, even with state intervention, we have a lot of out of districts that have gone upwards of 33% in a year, 22%, 15% in a year that we've had. Additionally, the OSD has approved reconstructions, and I don't want to I will struggle kind of explaining that, so I might lean on Barbara to kind of jump into what that is. But additionally, while we're seeing you see a reduction in transportation. That's the 3,200 or the 3,300 line. The driver of that is the reduction in the number of students. But the reality is that it's not matched the increases. We should have projected an even larger number based off the students that we've aged out, but transportation prices have significantly increased there. This is, while we've had some students move out, move in, this is kind of where we sit with some of the numbers at this point. One number that is a number that has increased is our medical and therapeutic services. These are kind of our home hospital. A lot of those services, we've seen more students out, but also just an increase in the cost of that service as well. At that, what you're not seeing kind of built into this which is a driver and kind of allowing us to reduce this budget, is greater reimbursement through circuit breaker. So budgeted in here for tuition, we're going to be receiving a reimbursement of about $3.14 million that we'll be using in the FY27 budget for circuit breaker. And then we have the federal 240 grant that we received, that is about $886,000 that is built into this as well. So when we think about kind of our federal funding and some of the impact, it's nothing to bat an eye at as far as $886,000. It is something that we lean on for our special education needs.
Dr. Jerome, when you say built in, means accounted for here, or will be applied later?
That's already accounted for in here. So what's interesting is, so the overall appropriated budget request for FY27 is $3.397 million, roughly. We have about $4 million in circuit breaker and 240 grant that are already built into here. So the actual special education budget is really with some of the other things that we have for transportation reimbursement is right around through $4.5 million. Okay. Well, sorry, is $8 million is the budget for special education.
So 240, Chapter 70, is that built? Is that confirmed? Or
240. So it's a 2-year. So the nice thing that our district has done, and that Keith's built in, that I will not break from as long as I live, is that these 240 and our circuit breaker are 2-year amounts. So we received this amount last year, and we will use it this year. And so that's some districts use it the moment they get it. We use the amount we received last year, and we put that into the budget for next year, so that we always have the amount that we put in as an offset for the next year. It's already locked in.
And not that Keith and Dr. Jordan have done a great job doing that, but that's also considered best practice too. So
considered best practice.
What the state says should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. The districts that have not done that are the ones that sometimes have struggled. Yes, exactly.
But it's tempting because
when you have
the money you have.
When you have unforeseen costs, that's I think what districts have experienced, and budget cuts and so forth. So we.
It's a notable achievement that we have not done it, but it is also what's considered best practice.
Correct.
Any questions about Part 3, Student Services? We have another one put up. All right, so we have Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 done. So then that is our level services budget pulled together. That puts us as an overall increase for level services at a 5.06%. That is, $2,211,880. The guideline of a 3.25% is what we've somewhat been provided as far as guiding our way to that 3.25. 3.25% is 1.421. million. So we're looking at the moment about $790,000 in delta to guideline.
But I think it's important.
Priority needs. So this is level service.
Right, so on January 22nd, we'll present a modest priority needs presentation with the principals, and yes, that does not include that number.
No, everybody was here last. Tracy, were you here at this point last year? No, you were not. Okay, so
She was here frequently.
So last year we were at 4.26% at this moment, and we got to 3.26% by that point. We build and intentionally expect our major driver is payroll. We structure that pretty conservatively, so unless there are big surprises, that's a number that will kind of work its way down. I don't put in retirements. I put in large buffers for lane changes that we don't hear about until March, just based off of historical perspective, and we work that way in. That said, there's some things we're going to need to do to kind of get to that number.
I mean, this is notwithstanding any huge unforeseen special education costs or anything, this is the high water mark. I think, Dr. Jordan's committed to continue to look at everything to try to chip away at that, even at the operation and maintenance level. But as I said, last year we were, somewhat below that, but we worked our way down. And budget's going to just continue to kind of look at this and monitor the situation. We've talked about a lot of different potential options and things. So
it doesn't mean we won't have to make some difficult decisions. Every year we do. We obviously are very fiscally minded, and then we also look at enrollment shifts district-wide, and we've been very strategic in trying to, when we have, if there's a decrease in enrollment in one grade, we've strategically moved that around rather than hold on to a position. We put it where we need it. So that's also part of this process, but it doesn't mean in the end we'll have to make some difficult decisions like we do every year.
I think it serves as a good reminder to folks looking at this, and we saw this last year, but the decrease in Part 3, which is special education, is not us reducing investment in special education. It's really the work our district's doing to ensure we keep our students within the district, regardless of the help that they legally need or required to, and that we want to provide. So you see a negative there, and if you don't have the context, you're like, all right, we're cutting special education, and that's not true. And that's not true at all.
It's a net negative.
It's a net negative, but net positive in terms of outcome.
And tuition and transportation are the major drivers of that, not our in-district special education services, what we're providing there. That's not seeing a reduction.
So if I'll stop sharing if there's no other questions.
No, we've asked a lot of questions in the budget and had lots of conversations about it. So more to come, but obviously that sort of begins after Dr. Kuska takes this and takes the priority needs and puts forward her superintendent's recommended budget. What did we say, the 12th of February, right? Is that
12th of February.
Yeah. And that also then is what feeds over to the town, at least for our level 1 budget.
And when's the town due?
The town do what?
When are we due to provide this to the town? There's a date in March.
I can't remember when we present to we present to the finance committee, and it'll be late March, early April. We'll also, Dr. Jordan, let's make sure we schedule the budget hearing and get that posted.
In the paper.
Yeah. And that'll be late March, early April as well. But there'll be a lot more information. The governor is statutorily has to present her budget by January 21st. We'll get an idea of sort of Chapter 70 from there, and kind of moving forward and seeing how things progress. But it's
More work to do.
More work to do.
Okay. So we move on to policy. We've got 2 policies we were going to go through.
Yeah, these are both second readings tonight. We looked at these at our December meeting. Let's see. The first one is JCLA, physical examination of students. If you recall, this is based on Department of Health regulations and guidance and aligned with what our nurses are already doing for students, but wanted to put this into a policy aligned with the MASC policy. So we have a second reading. Does anybody want to read it for us tonight?
The second reading is just the changes, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's just the changes. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. So the only change is instead of BMI, we spell that out as body mass index and then parentheses BMI.
That was from Dan's last.
Which is based on best practices at
That's right.
Technology.
Thank you, Dan. I'm glad.
Thank you.
Any questions about the policy?
So, do we want to waive the third reading?
Yes.
So,
And so,
I'll make a motion to waive the third reading and approve JLCA as amended.
Second.
second. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Our second policy is also second reading. This is GBEB, staff conduct, and there were no changes from our last meeting.
Would you like a motion?
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to waive the third reading and approve staff conduct JBEB.
Second.
We'll do a roll call. So, Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Well, that was easy. So,
For a change.
I know, for a change. That's great. We're ahead of schedule. Okay, so central office admin update. Dr. Kuska?
The only thing I really have tonight is I put in your packet the tech quarterly update. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, I mean, it's just their standard quarterly update. And I don't know if you want to take a look at it, but they posted their annual report in there for FY28, and they had their audit. And we did have some preliminary budget conversations, but they won't be voting on the budget till later in the season, similar to accept. It's usually around March, I think, when we finally make the vote in both places. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you have anything about that. Or get information from Tech if you have further questions.
Okay.
I will mention one thing, that if you look at the bottom, they did talk in December about there is going to be a larger than typical increase in tuition. This is what we were just talking about. So we are foreseeing that they're trying to keep it below 10%, but that's higher than normal for Tech. Tech and Accept typically are lower than some of our private out-of-district placements, but again, they're all seeing the same kind of concerns as Dr. Jordan had talked about already.
So in budget sub, it was discussed, which I'd like to try to do going forward at the school community, is provide more or less a high-level summary of the budget. We discussed it in greater detail in budget sub, but just kind of provide some of the high-level factors at that point and provide a memo that is put into your school committee folder. Again, always available for more detailed questions if you see anything that you want to discuss. At this point, we're of the fiscal year, not just the school year, we're about 52-53% through the fiscal year, school fiscal year, and we've spent 42% of the budget. That's right. We're a good conservative place of where we want to be. I feel good about the placement of those numbers. Within the budget or specific budget lines have different peaks and valleys. So if you were to see the budget as a whole right now, the spending, you might say heating of buildings, you'd see 12% only of that budget has been spent. But in a month, if I were to bring that same, when those invoices start to come in, you'll see that possibly exceed the year at that point. So that one gets spent has a big peak at this point in the year. Unrelated to the budget, we've got kind of our MSBA core program and art program, kind of to actually get both of those in the same year is nice and challenging at the same time. While there are no updates on the core program, we'll likely be kind of hearing on the core program before the art program, which still looks like the whole process of starting things won't start until the summer on either of those. As Dr. Kuska alluded to, on the superintendent's budget, we have priority needs, or kind of the next aspect of this piece, which is January 22nd. We have had central admin and meetings with principals on what some of the initial looks at what priority needs will be. So that's January 22nd. February 12th is the superintendent's budget, and then we'll begin kind of updating and turning it over to the school committee as far as like what they're leaning towards for the budget going forward.
Can we also add to, we did also discuss that you'd be providing updates on the grant amounts that we've received. We talked about potentially a mid-year.
Yeah. So grant amounts and some of the larger revenue amounts, I think we break out like in that we have grants and we have grants. Like, for example, we have title grants and we have our federal 240 grants, which are almost like, what is it? Title is like entitlement grants, and so we get those and we rely on those. But we also have grants that we write grants, and we may or may not get those grants. Competitive grants, thank you. I'd like to be able to kind of provide mid-year and end of the year as far as some of that, and maybe we transition to like a beginning, mid, and end as far as that, as far as updates on those grants. One, what have we written and what awards have we received, and then how much money, grant money, are we actually looking at in the total that we've been awarded in the year.
I'm waiting for Dr. Menard to speak, and she's not here. So we've begun the process of ESY, and so yesterday I spent about 4 hours with the SSAs off and on, and today as well, as we're digging deep this year to understand what's happened for the past, how can we make it stronger, increase what we do in the framework for ESY. We're not changing anything right now, so I don't want anybody to think, what, are they taking it apart or dismantling it? No. But we are looking at what we're doing for process and procedure and looking what else we want to add into ESY to make it a stronger program than it's already been and make it a more effective program, looking at how we service our students. So there'll be more coming. It's becoming a daily activity where I'm showing up in the SSA's offices, surprising them sometimes, scheduling others. The surprises come with coffee, though, so I think they prefer that. I also wanted to let you know that although Dr. Menard probably would have presented this, we do have our upcoming PD Day next Friday, and one of the highlights as far as I'm concerned is that Dr. Peg Dawson will be coming to talk about executive function skills. If you are not aware of who she is a nationally renowned psychologist from right in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, whose specialty is executive function skills. And she not only works with children and adolescents, she even has a book for adults, because honestly, some of us need assistance even when we've gotten out of school. But she's remarkable, and I think it's really exciting. I've been using her work for years as I go in and work in schools and consult, and this is a really special opportunity, and I can't highlight enough how great it is that she is here in this district. And the fact is that everybody will be touched by her on that Friday. All of our teachers and all of our paras will be participating between the secondary level and the elementary level, which she will break into parts to make sure she's angling for the proper groups. So I wanted to bring that up because having been in a number of districts and done this work for so many years, we are so lucky to have her here because she's that terrific. So I want to bring that up. And then just let you know, although there's nothing specific right now to contribute, that we really have begun to look at what's been happening during the course of this year. I promised you that I would do that over the course of the year, and now some of that hard work's really going to begin as we look toward next year. What other kinds of structures will help the district grow stronger and diversify our programs enough to help all our students. Again, I'm advocating, as I did when I first got here, that I really believe our children belong in our community and we should find a way to support them as much as we can. There will be students undoubtedly we cannot support, but we should try to keep as many in our community and in our homes as possible so that they can participate with their peer groups right here in Holliston. So that's the other piece of work that I've been working on, and I will probably be asking for donation of coffee as I move along through the next few months, but we will get the work done.
I think, Sarah, you saw in Dawson opening
Yeah,
day.
the
She did a
opening
little
day. Yep.
short version, and then that's also a tribute to the grants that Jariel has been working on.
Absolutely,
Those are the things
absolutely.
that we do with some of the grant funds as well.
I'll send you the link to her website just so you can read about her, but she's terrific.
Thank you. Okay, we can move on to personnel. You had a job description for...
Yes, so the job description I had put in your packet last time. I haven't made any changes to that, but just if you are ready to approve that. And then I did revise the timeline for the Director of Student Services role in the Miller Principal timeline based on some suggestions at the last meeting. But the problem with the timeline is we've got February vacation in there, so you'll see when you look at it that I put in there that I highlighted that the week of February 16th is when I would want the interviews to happen, but that can't happen. So based on that, I'm probably going to have to shift the student services to the 23rd, which will throw everything another week. But then that's also going to have a ripple effect on the principal because I don't think it's conducive to have both the same week. We likely will have different people doing those, but at the same token, I just think it's confusing. And space-wise, we usually do it at central office too. It's not that we couldn't do two. I just think it's a lot to have that many administrators and so forth trying to do two at the same exact time. So that would be my thought, is that I'll push the Director of Student Services down a week to the 23rd, and then it'll be the 9th and the 16th. But then that also, as I pointed out, then I would end up moving Miller, similarly, that it would end up move Miller. So then it would be the following week in March 2nd, then it would move it to March 9th and then March 23rd. So it's going to just throw everything down a week, but I figured I'd put it the way it should lay out and then explain it to you, and if you're okay, I'll make those adjustments. But that will also allow for the new superintendent to be on board to make kind of final decisions based on what the committee puts forward.
I actually like the timeline. I know it was done with February break in mind, though, but one of my questions was not having the next superintendent in line. I know oftentimes there's some following of personnel, so it's I think giving a little bit more time to everybody will be good. And we'll be accepting applications up until that day, right?
So if you look at the top, the postings would be January 19th to February 6th.
So we'll close, though, at that point? So that wouldn't give opportunity for anyone?
We may end up, we have to make sure that we have time to vet the candidates. We can't know. So I may end up adjusting that date a little bit now based on what we just talked about. So it'll likely change a week for that reason, but we can't go any further than that because then it would run into the people coming to the meetings to vet the candidates as well. So I don't think you have to vote on the timeline, but if you had any questions about the groupings of the people that will be on there, happy to reconsider. But it would be helpful if you could vote on the job description. My hope would be to try to post the Director of Student Services Monday, and then the following week post the principal. And then I'll be sharing both out to families and another communication with our community newsletter as well.
So as we talked about last time, the SSD position, remains a very difficult one to fill, and so I remain convinced that we should include in there that an assistant superintendent title for the right candidate would be considered. Again, this is just a title; this is not pay, but And then obviously they would need an assistant superintendent license for that, but that's my thought process.
Can someone remind me what the argument against doing that was? Because I know there was one, but I'm just drawing a blank on what that was.
I think it was more just about confusion.
Assistant superintendent.
Usually when you post a job description, you have to post the title of the job. So we'd be posting, but then I think we could potentially put it under where the requirements are. We could add assistant superintendent, subject to licensure, may be considered or something like that.
I wouldn't change the title of the posting or anything like that, and it's just in there's the people who are looking, and maybe they
they will look at that. You're right. So that's probably what would make sense, is to put it under qualifications.
Qualified assistant superintendent licensed candidates, because we don't say that. But at the same time, you don't want to turn away directors that don't have it. So.
Correct. We want both, but we want to get it the strongest pool possible.
So I think I'd put that, if you look at required qualifications, where it says license as administrative special education, they would need that. But then I could put in assistant superintendent title may be considered subject to that licensure as well.
Sure. That would be good.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is good. So do we need to vote on approving? I'll entertain a motion to approve the Director of Student Services job description with that one. Yeah, you're making it right now, so it's great.
So moved.
Second. Great. I'll take a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Hillary? Yes. Joe?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, so I feel like we can kind of combine. We've got old business is a superintendent search update, but we also have a letter for communications.
Yes. That kind of is the update, right?
It's kind of the update itself, so maybe we can go through the letter and, see if we're good with that and any changes that need to be made to that. And as we discussed that.
Subcommittee met, we voted on it on Tuesday. And then there's some things we just need to decide on if we want to put in that are highlighted. Well, really one thing. But everything's open to this discussion to make edits as needed. And I guess it would be good to, the purpose, and Sarah, you had alluded to it, obviously give an update since the last update we sent was at the beginning when HYAs just started or was announced. This is the update in terms of how the community can get involved with specifics. And there, as you'll see in the letter, there will be more that need to be provided as we get clarity on when those dates are, but there's significant, there's numerous opportunities to be engaged in numerous different forums, virtual and in person, to participate in. So I definitely urge the community watching to look out for the email. This will go to community members, staff, teachers, staff and teachers, students, parents, anyone who's listed on our emails, which is go back to last year, you can subscribe to. Mr. McLeod will help ensure you're added. But certainly if there's any questions, we can also send it to folks that ask for it.
Are we putting this in the Holliston Reporter as well?
Probably should. Okay. Yes, that's a good idea, actually, Heather. We will submit it. Since it's voted on, we can submit it as school committee, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we will do so as soon as we vote on it tomorrow morning. And this will go out tomorrow morning. So Dan, I'll get it over to you.
See, you're adding some stuff. Go for it. Do we want to talk through, just as part of giving, we can give the update as we kind of go through the sections in this letter.
The only thing, Dan, I don't know, are you adding this?
I'm just playing around with it. But my point more is opportunities for community engagement then sort of leads almost more into a timeline.
No. So
and I see that there's places in there, but really the community engagement is more going to be the interviews during the...
No. So yes, but there are The community feedback survey, to my understanding, is the finalist interviews. We have to be clear on that. There'll be finalist interviews with the screening committee. Once they're introduced to the community is when we send out the survey, because they'll send us then back feedback on that.
Wait, say it again?
Or no?
No, so
I'm just trying to understand the survey, the purpose of it.
So we'll just kind of go through where we are now. Right now, HYA is recruiting, reviewing applicants, doing background checks, that kind of thing. They will put together a slate of a number of candidates. My middle schooler will laugh if I say how many, but it's probably going to be 6 or 7.
Say up to 7.
Up to 7 candidates that will get interviewed towards the end of January by the screening team. At the end of those interviews, there will be a number of finalists presented to the school committee. The finalists will come for site visits. They'll be at the school for full-day visits, where they'll meet various schools. We'll have a schedule of lunches, meetings with everyone. There will be a community option at that point. And then in the evening, I think this is how we'll do it. We'll probably have, say, 3 finalists, 3 days, site visit during the day. At the end of the day, we'll do a public interview of the finalists that will be recorded. People can come in person or they can watch it live. And then a survey will go out for each of those candidates.
Okay, so after the finals.
Right, and then there'll be the weekend or whatever.
Yeah,
the following week.
it'll be a tighter window than the previous survey, but we will be gathering feedback from the community on what they think about the finalists. So anyone who can help promote those surveys, send them out, get as many people to respond would be really welcome.
The only question I have on the surveys are what forums exist prior to the survey going out so that folks can interact with the candidate finalists before I enter a survey on them?
It'll be when
Those
they
3
come
days.
for that visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's be clear to the community to participate in that, because otherwise the survey is going to be less effective if I don't know who these people are.
Most community members, I would imagine, will be filling out the survey based upon watching the interviews.
Right.
And that's what we've seen in other...
They're welcome to come
And that's another opportunity, though. I know we're putting search time. Finalist interview publicly by school committee will be an opportunity for community members to be engaged. We want to make sure we include that as part of community engagement.
But to be clear, the public will not be involved in the interview.
No, but they can be in attendance.
They can be in
Absolutely,
attendance.
yes.
We hope they do.
We encourage that.
Right.
Yep.
And during those days where the candidate is here in person, they're visiting schools? Is there a community forum or Q&A?
Each way, I think, is proposed meet and greet periods for different groups.
Yeah.
Okay. And I see we're doing that for the Director of Student Services and the Miller Principal Search as well.
So as I know, the dates are going to move fast too, and so we're trying to be as clear as possible in this, and there'll need to be updates as we learn more. But as those dates are more clear, we should communicate those. We will communicate those out.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, some of it's, we just need to literally schedule.
Yes,
Find out what people's
we're not hiding anything. It's just like
availability,
things
yeah.
are still in motion.
But I think if we do the interviews the week of the 26th, then we would be on the week of the 2nd voting, would we not?
Hopefully.
I think let's lock in dates because there's so many moving factors, so many parties involved. Let's lock those in, and then what we could do is, this is a good update for tomorrow because office hours are coming up Saturday, and then we will send out an update probably even before next meeting. So we got to figure out how we're going to do that. Maybe we need to meet as a subcommittee.
This can go out.
Yeah, but we basically sort of...
This is going out tomorrow.
But we kind of... Do we have the dates, the 27th, 28th, and 29th? Anticipated at least?
Those are anticipated, though, but not...
I think we should put... I mean, at this point, we should put them in and just,
we should be careful, though, of putting dates in there if they move.
Anticipated.
So I get that.
Or tentative. Yeah.
Tentative.
Yes, but then if they're tentative, then we should follow up and say when they're confirmed, because tentative is tentative.
But I think it's also like,
what we could do is not as long of a letter, but potentially as the vote for this, if we could authorize the the communications subcommittee to do follow-ups as dates are finalized to remind.
well, I'd actually, I propose something slightly different for at least one communication, is to authorize Sarah to, as chair, distribute an email with the finalists once the screening team has communicated them to her, and hopefully that would include a brief, just bio of the finalists on the 26th.
27th is the high school's
Right, so that's, we will, timing-wise, I think we can work around that, because I do think that's an important thing. Maybe we can bring the candidate to that.
I wouldn't want to treat them differently, but.
True. I know.
Timings of
Okay,
the
we'll have to
interviews,
figure
though,
that
are
out.
Fluid. So
I think, David, I think that was 6:30 to
6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30. So, yeah, I would like to work around that.
Yep.
Timings of the interviews and dates are fluid.
We start meeting at 8 on the 27th.
True.
Okay. Well, this is, I'm good with this.
Is it not worth bumping to the Monday instead of trying to double up on a night of a Tuesday? And starting something at 8 just seems like a lot, especially if that person's been going all day and on all day. I'm just thinking of that candidate. Because we're not going to start all of them at 8. So just to start one at 8.
I think Monday. We might just get the final. We might just have heard on Monday.
Again,
So it
if
wouldn't
things
give
move,
the
though,
person
we don't
to-
want to put dates in here yet until they lock in. So we can definitely send an update once we've locked it in, just because HYA is involved, the candidates are involved. There's things that we can't decide here firmly.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there, though. I think that's
But I
too long of
agree.
a day.
Yeah, you
It
don't
is a
want
long
to,
day.
we got to be thoughtful about that, for sure.
On the flip side, we have administrators here right now at 8:37.
It's too long a day for them, too.
It's too long a day for all of us.
Yes.
But,
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, I think this is okay.
Yeah, just if I'm fine with this, and if Frank and Sarah want to just sort of finalize it and decide whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we can, immaterial, potentially date changes, but immaterial messages in here, we'll make some final changes before it gets sent out tomorrow morning. Just as a reminder to the community, because things are moving fast, our first office hours will be from 9 to 10 a.m. at Coffee Haven on January 10th, so Saturday morning. So if you can attend. There will be another one January 13th, Tuesday, so won't be the only one. And I'll always stipulate, if we have interest and there's interest to have specific dates, even forums, we can entertain it as that comes up, so. Cool. So make a motion to approve with immaterial message changes, but potential date changes between Sarah and myself to be sent out tomorrow morning.
Second.
Okay, do a roll call vote. Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Frank? JC?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Do we want to take a potential vote on what you said, Dan?
Oh, yeah.
I guess we could do it next meeting.
We can do it next.
Yeah,
Let's just do it now. So
Go for it. Go for it.
Just make a motion to authorize Sarah's chair to send out an email to the community with the names and bios of the finalists once provided by the screening team.
Second.
And after the candidates have accepted,
Yes.
with all the proper procedures.
Second.
Okay, another roll call vote. Dawn? Sorry, Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, anything else from communication?
Nope.
We will probably meet again shortly to get an update on the dates so we could get that out. The only thing brought up and does not need to be, well, will not be discussed today, but it's an update from the subcommittee as we talk about the new high school. How we want to handle communications just across the different parties. We discussed opportunities to really partner with our select board and obviously our town manager. However, like what we did discuss was we don't have, there's no communication plan yet. So where would that live? And certainly willing to partner on that. So topic for next future budget, I keep saying communication subcommittee to discuss through that. And Sarah will we'll partner with you in terms of how we want to work with select board, et cetera.
Yeah. It'll be closely with the select board to figure out how that all,
And
even where it's going to live, like some of the stuff that, whether it's a website or where does all of that, there needs to be a home base.
Right. My understanding is that's part of what they're envisioning in this MOA that they want. But I do think that we should continue. I saw that it's going to be on their agenda on the 12th for an update. I think that we do need to sort of, I know that they're very, focused on it as well, but just to, sort of getting that committee formed so that decisions can sort of start to be made.
I suspect they're going to have that update kind of living on as we move forward on their agenda.
Right. But, yeah.
Kind of the way we have it on here, too. So even though right now we don't have too much.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Communications.
Great. Policy?
No, we are meeting again next week.
Budget? Yes.
We will continue to work with Dr. Kuska and Dr. Jordan as we go forward, but obviously just for the community on January 22nd, before our regular school committee meeting, the administration will be presenting priority needs, and that will then be taken into consideration by Dr. Kuska as she prepares her recommended budget.
Great. So I don't know if there's a super eval. And then I don't know if there's anything else. We just kind of talked about superintendent search. And really, I don't believe there's any update from our side on the MSBA.
Nope.
We're still incredibly excited.
We're incredibly excited.
Yeah. So the next thing is we did have an advocacy letter that we wanted to send to elected representatives.
Yep.
I think Dan has it.
I sent that out earlier. I don't know if people had a chance to review it. I apologize for the lateness of doing it, but with break and everything, I didn't click it. No, I emailed it to you.
I don't think, I didn't get it in the packet, sorry.
So I think first decide what it kind of is and then who we want to send it to, and I think it needs to be tailored a little bit based on who we want to send it to, but just discussing different sort of concerns and sort of changes that are being discussed at the federal level that sort of impact a lot of, some of our students, but severely those, for transgender and non-binary students. Just a lot going on. It's very scary for a lot of kids, families, and even providers. Something I think in Massachusetts is well recognized, but I think it's still, something that's important for us to ensure that we are speaking up for all of our students.
Entertain a motion to approve the letter, or do we need to?
Well, who should we send it to, and then if people have any changes?
Should we send this to James?
Right, so this is just a draft of one to Senate President Spilka, then I would imagine that James would be another one, but then do we want to send it to the governor? Do we want to send it to the AG? Do we like, and then we could send it to our federal representatives as well. Are you serious? She's not our representative.
Not our representative. She's in our state.
Okay. just we keep it to regular government. But
that's fair.
But so I guess it's sort of the list of who we send it to, and then if there are any, and then there are little tweaks obviously that would need to be made depending on who it is, because obviously some of them are not.
So we're voting on the draft to end the list, or just the draft to?
I think both. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is fine. I have no changes.
The only change that I read it a few times in parentheses by many times, just read oddly to me, but the guy under.
I'm trying to just not to get into numbers.
No, I know the intent, but I was like, that was the only thing.
Look, we can take that out.
Yeah. I think the point is still made without it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But no, I think it's great, and I think it's important that we're sharing our views on this.
Yep.
So I guess.
I'm in agreement. I have no changes.
Oh, sorry. So I'll make a motion to approve this letter with and allow for non-substantive changes depending on who it's being sent to, along with a list of who do we want to send. So Representative Rosa, Senate President Spilka, the Governor, the Attorney General, and then our 2 senators and representative.
Okay. Sounds good.
I made a motion.
You made a motion?
Yep.
Did I get a second? Okay. Roll call vote. Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe is not here. Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you. Okay. What else?
I don't know how, but
Is that possibly it? Okay, yes. So at this time, I will entertain a vote to go into executive session for the purpose to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, the BHFT. So executive session from which we will not return.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Dawn?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Joe, we're...
Yes.
Thank you. Joe's back. Yes. Frank?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Well, good night, Holliston, and thank you, everyone.